Welcome to Cinema Gulp. I'm John.
And I'm Ben, and this is our best of 2019.
You're the best around of 2019 movies. Ben, what did you think of 2019 in general? As a year at the movies, what'd you think?
It was okay. It was decent. I had a hard time kind of picking out the very best, whereas last year my clear front runner all the way from fucking February was Annihilation, and it stayed.
Don't react.
It was good. What did you think?
Thought it was shit. Terrible. Worst year of the decade, probably.
Whoa!
This was a really weak year, in my opinion.
It's because no Brett Ratner movie came out, isn't it?
Missing Brett.
Damn.
Is he in jail? Where is he?
I'll admit, this is the first year I probably saw the least amount of movies since we've been doing the show. I just got busy with other things.
Yeah.
So that's going to influence a lot of my list. If there's things I don't have on this list like people love, like I'll say right off the bat, I didn't see Parasite. I've heard I would love it. I just did not get a chance to see it.
I made a point of trying to see a lot of the films that people were raving about. So I have seen a number of those films that I was told to see, and not a lot of them really were as great as I had. I personally just feel like every year seems to be getting worse for me at the movies, where I have less great films to choose from. It doesn't mean that the whole year is shit and there's nothing I enjoy or I have no fun at the movies anymore, but I certainly don't walk out saying, God, that was Best Picture. And I certainly don't walk out saying, I've got 5 strong Best Pictures. Man, I got 10. I don't even know what to choose from. It's like, oh, what do I even put on a Best Picture list?
Well, I'm really happy with what I came up with as far as, like, they're all very worthy movies. You know, you'll hear a lot of them throughout the rest of the year, I'm sure. We'll start out with some honorable mentions.
Let's start right off with one movie that I just had a blast at. Probably the most fun I had for just a kind of random genre movie that came out this year, Shazam. Oh. That was a fun-ass movie.
Yeah, it was.
Shazam was a lot of fun. I hope they make a sequel. I know it underperformed at the box office.
It's been greenlit.
But I was happy with Shazam.
Me too.
Let me just give you one more, and then you can give me one. This is changing gears completely. I don't know if you got a chance to see it. The Farewell. I thought that was just a really great story. Had some really great performances in it. A very sentimental story that really hits you, where you want it.
I heard so. I really enjoyed a movie that came out in late August called Ready or Not. It was fun. It's not totally original. There's a lot of things in there that have been done before, but really short, fast, in and out. And I just thought it was fun as fuck. So that's on that merit alone. I like it. I have to give Endgame some credit, Avengers Endgame, just because of what it was and like what it pulled off. Like, it's just hard for me to not mention it because it was tight enough script for 3 fucking hours, and it's a lot tighter than another 3-hour movie that came out this year. Another one that I really liked, a genre picture so much, Crawl. Super tight script. It's not for everybody. It's schlocky, but it's got my man Barry Pepper in it, and he's awesome. It's a really fun, stupid movie that was so tight and just well edited and perfectly written for what it was.
Peanut Butter Falcon, which was Shia LaBeouf.
Couldn't find that one.
Good performance by him. Not a whole lot I would have to say about the movie. Just kind of, some good performances in it, and I don't know. I saw it a while ago, so I barely even remember what happens in the movie. Another one that I don't even know if you heard of this movie, but it was pretty good. Loose. Really interesting. It's about a teacher who may be trying to sabotage a student's chance to get into college, but the student may be actually culpable of some things the teacher's saying he did, and there's this back and forth, he said, she said between them and then the parents. Well, you've already mentioned this movie, Avengers Endgame, probably get my 10th spot if I was really ranking these as a top 10. You know what? There's a movie I saw twice this year.
I've seen it 3 times. 3 times.
But I just love Infinity War so much more.
Me too.
I agree with you with everything you said, the way they pulled that story together, the editing, over the course of 3 hours to keep that story moving and really pay off so many things they had set up over 10 years of filmmaking. It's an achievement, and it's still an entertaining movie. It's not my favorite Marvel.
Different movie than Infinity War, which is great. It's like people are like, "Oh, these are part 1 and 2." It's like maybe because they were filming them, but they're very different movies.
They do feel like
structurally
their
completely
own movies. Midsommar. I did get around to seeing Midsommar. this director does a great job at crafting horror films with kind of an artistic eye. I love some of the visuals in the movie. I hate the characters. They're the dumbest fucking people on the planet. I mean, this is in my top 10, and the movie has so many fucking ridiculous problems, but I still appreciate the craft of this movie and the feeling, the unease this movie gives you for the entire running time was impressive.
And I'm sticking with like genre, schlock, exciting, fun stuff because I'm going with John Wick 3. Oh. I loved it. It's my favorite of the 3 John Wick movies. I know people have a soft spot for 1. 1 is good. I like 1. Otherwise, I wouldn't be on 3 right now if I wasn't hooked in by 1. 2 was okay, but I just love 3. I think it's so much fun. I think it has the best 3-act structure of all the movies. I love the side characters. I don't really care so much about the lore. I don't really care about that. I like being in the moment and watching the fighting and following this character around and stuff like that. So I'm kind of, man, John Wick's still got my money. Number 9, this one was higher earlier just because it crushed me and it just took me away. It just took my heart away when I saw it, especially the month that I saw it and everything else that was going on. But I loved How to Train Your Dragon 3, The Hidden World. Had to stay on my list because I think it's beautiful, just like the second one and the first one. Visually, just stunning. Some of the best. I love that DreamWorks style that they put on there. Like some of those in-flight things with the... I got taken away by the movie. And then by the end of it, it's so touching and sweet and sad at the same time, but then like uplifting. Just fucking ripped it out and fucking spit on it and pissed on it. My heart, that is. Like, it's just, and then it cleaned it off and put it back in.
And we can just repeat everything you just said because my number 8 is How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World. But yeah, How to Train Your Dragon, it's in there with some of my favorites of the year. I really want to check it out again.
I watched it again. It was still held up.
Like I want to show Nanaya because I think she'll really love the animation. She likes animated movies.
Oh, then she'll love it because it's gorgeous.
Yeah. We got Honey Boy, another Shia LaBeouf. 2 Shia LaBeouf movies making it into kind of my tops of the year. I hope this guy gets more love as an actor sometime soon, and he deserved an Oscar nomination this year, or at least some serious consideration, I think. But the movie, it's really great performances by him and by the kid in it. Noah Jupe, I believe is his name. Yeah. Kind of an interesting take on Shia LaBeouf's life story. Visually very interesting. Some great editing throughout. Some great use of music. Just all the things you want from a little indie movie that really came together and made a very entertaining, kind of sentimental, heartbreaking at time movie.
So moving on to my number 8, I have Dolomite Is My Name, which is our Eddie Santz, him coming back. It's another one just like How to Train Your Dragon, where it warmed my heart. It gave me like the funny feels. It gave me the inspirational feels. I don't know if it's gonna be one, because I feel like Ed Wood was my generation's like, if you want to be a filmmaker, pop this movie in every year for the rest of your life and just see how a non-filmmaker somehow made a movie just because he had fucking passion for it. Mm-hmm. This is the exact same thing, told in a very different way, obviously different style. Everything about it is different. But I just loved it, and it's not even really that everyone's like, oh, Eddie wasn't that funny in it. It's not exactly supposed to just be an Eddie comedy vehicle. It's a true story told in more of a fantastical kind of way. So he plays this guy really sweet and tender and just full of life and wants to do cool thing. And I love watching this little weird journey that he takes from standing up in people's garages and like creating these weird little wacky songs. I don't know if you saw it.
I have not.
And then just meeting people that are talentless like him, but like they have a passion for something, so he brings them in. I don't know. It's just one of those like cool inspirational movies, and it is really, really funny. So I love Dolomite Is My Name. My number 7 was much higher. In fact, it was number 1 at one point, and it's Rocket Man. I hate to have moved it the way I did. It's just like after thinking and going over my tops and stuff like that. I love this movie. I think the only reason it is where it is because it does have musical numbers in it, which always just knock it down a tiny bit for me, even though I thought the musical numbers were kind of brilliant. I thought Taron Egerton snubbed.
Definitely.
Oscar snub. He wins the Golden Globe, and he gets no love. But I'm glad he got that Golden Globe. He's such a young dude. He's such a talented dude. This movie just sits on his shoulders, and he crushed it as Elton John. The guy that did Freddie Mercury, who just lip synced Freddie Mercury, gets an Oscar. This guy does his own fucking songs and doesn't even get nominated. Anyway, those are mine.
And gave a way better performance in terms of just the dramatics and the emotions that he went through. Way better performance. That was so. Is it my pick now?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's Rocket Man at number 6, because that's actually a film I did get to see a second time, and I was blown away by his performance the second time through. Like I think we raved about it the first time as well. But seeing it a second time, it was just like, man, I think I saw it before the nominations came out. So it was just, I was blown away when nomination morning came and he wasn't on that list, because it's like, damn, he deserves it.
Yeah.
I'm kind of right there with you. It kind of slipped down my list on a second review because, yeah, some of the musical numbers don't hit as well, especially earlier in the film.
Yeah.
But some of the hits that you know of him and the way that they create these kind of fantasy reality moments with the musical numbers is really creative. Really creative filmmaking, directing, and editing going on in the movie, and great performances.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't mention the editing. It's so seamless. Really cool transitions.
Yeah.
So coming in at number 6 for me, we just have this Honey Boy. This movie is where it is because of Shia LaBeouf's performance. There's a really great script too, which I think he wrote.
Well, I think with the director.
Yeah, and she directed it beautifully. It was really intimate. Such an intimate movie. I love slice of life movies, and this is the exact definition of a slice of life movie. It could have started anywhere and it could have ended anywhere. The way it ends, it's just like, okay, it's over. And it's not really growing to anything. I mean, it is internally with the characters, but it's not moving along to some big grand conclusion, except for more like internal struggles and things like that.
I feel like we need to mention the other actor that I didn't.
Are you talking about Lucas Hedges?
Yeah,
he was really good.
I'm just now reminded of we get to see him as an older actor too, and he was great too. Lucas Hedges was one of the best I've ever seen him.
Me too. And he's really, a weird actor.
He really did kind of encompass what we know of Shia LaBeouf from that time period.
Yes.
Like he did a great job of not having to be Shia LaBeouf like in his exact look.
No.
Make him look exactly like him. But his mannerism, his temperament.
Well, and just the way he's just like I don't give a shit attitude. Like he doesn't act like he's some. I love the little nod to Transformers too. It doesn't really say what movie it is. It's just him getting blown back.
Yeah.
And when he's in this place, like, well, I don't give a fuck, and he's just smoking a cigarette. Like he doesn't like conduct himself. So I think when you would ask the question like, will Hollywood ever like embrace this guy? I think he has a long road ahead of him because of how he kind of ended up at a certain early point. Like he got rose up really high from some really great performances and choices. And then he just kind of crashed himself a little bit, I think, from reading too much of his own press.
At one point.
Yeah, and just reading too much of his own shit, I think, really fucked with his head. And then this movie explains a lot about why he is how he is.
That's why I'm like, this guy deserves some credit. I mean,
he does. He does. His dad is a fucking weird motherfucker. Yeah. Now we're jumping into the top 5.
Taika Waititi with Jojo Rabbit. I've kind of come around on the movie a little bit more. I think I had some issues with it when we first saw it because I was comparing it to other Taika Waititi movies, and I don't think it lived up to those. Really great movie. It's well made with some awesome performances from Scarlett Johansson to the little kid to the little girl to Sam Rockwell to every supporting character except for Mrs. Dumpy Ass, whatever her name was. Rebel Wilson, but everybody else in the movie shines, and it really is just a joy and an entertaining movie. I feel like Jojo Rabbit probably deserves its spot at number 5.
That's great, man. So coming in at number 5 for me is actually Ford versus Ferrari, because I loved it and it was entertaining. It gave a little bit of this really old-fashioned, heart-pounding while watching a movie that wasn't a comic book movie or or a horror movie. It was just people are calling it the dad movie. Okay. Your dad, I love this movie. Well, I guess I'm that guy. If your dad loves good filmmaking, then yes. Exactly. This is James Mangold, and again, I think Logan was 5 or 6 for me a couple years ago. I love James Mangold. A couple of my top 20 favorite movies come from him. And this is just another example of now that what he did for Logan and the money that movie made and the fact that it worked, I love to see studios going, yes, James Mangold, we will give you $100 million to make something that's not a property that anybody's aware of outside of car racing. Mm-hmm. And then everybody loved it and everybody saw it. You know, I love that.
And it got a Best Picture nomination.
And it got a Best Picture, nothing else. Okay, I guess it directed its motherfucking self. This is the kind of movie where you make the case to have a best stunt, which I don't understand why it's not in there. I've never understood why there's no best stunts.
Yeah.
But this is one of those movies that would call for that for sure. I loved it. It's so much fun. Christian Bale is just fucking awesome in it. Matt Damon is Matt Damon. He does what he does. He's great. Fun movie. Enjoyed every second of it. After reflecting it, we did a review for it where we both really liked it, but I think I liked it more the more and more I thought about it. So that's coming in at 5 for me is Ford v Ferrari. I'm sorry, I think I said Ford versus. I don't know.
My number 4 is the most recent movie that we got to see, 1917.
Oh, okay.
That you and I got to see together.
I thought you meant reviewed. I'm like, Star Wars?
No, yeah. It's a technical marvel.
Ooh.
Go watch some of the behind the scenes stuff, which I finally got to see some of that. And it's awesome to see how they moved that camera from rig to rig, and how they staged some of these amazing long take shots.
It's fun just watching that making of.
Yeah. It's got a great score. It's got 2 great performances. It's got some surprises along the way that I wasn't prepared for. The reason it didn't take the top spot for me was there is a little bit, for me personally, there's moments of it that seem a little dull where it's just kind of like, I expect what's going to happen. What I expect to happen does happen, and therefore it was a little bit dull. I don't know. It's weird to say because the movie does, once it gets going, it tries to keep propelling forward, and with the music, the way the music is, it does keep you on edge through most of the movie. But that was why I kind of noticed, like, I should be on edge right now, but I'm not. It wasn't as visceral as I really wanted that kind of one-take filmmaking. Sam Mendes, who's done it before for me, it wasn't as visceral as I maybe wanted it to be.
Yeah.
So it's an achievement. It's a great movie, but it's still at number 4 for me, and a couple movies I definitely think were stronger than it for the year.
That's a great spot for it. Number 4 for me is Jojo Rabbit. A lot of the same movie. John just really said exactly how I feel about it. We did a long, really good review for it that did okay.
Check it out right here.
It has a performance from Scarlett McBoobs. What's her name? Scarlett
Johansson?
Yeah. I was going to say Black Widow. Yeah, so whatever her name is. But anyway, no, it's a great movie. It gives you a lot of gut punches the way Taika Waititi does when he's making you laugh, and then poof, you're like, holy crap. Mm-hmm. All of his movies have been in my, I want to say Ragnarok was in the top 10, but all his other ones have been within my top 5. Every year, for all of you who watch the best of every year, we have our top 3 prizes here. So number 3 best movie gets the VHS tape. Number 2 gets the mini DV tape. Remember these? And John, what is the top spot?
We've got our film canister, the Golden Film Canister Award.
That's right.
My number 3 winner of the VHS Award is a movie Ben has already mentioned somewhere, I think 4 or 5. Ford v Ferrari.
Too Fast, Too Ferrari, or whatever they called it.
For so many of the same things that you said, I feel the same way about it. It was one of those movies that really did work for me viscerally. I was super excited when we were in these races. I felt it was a movie that had so many wonderful surprises. When you watch a sports movie or a movie that's, kind of like a sports themed movie, there's certain expectations that, you're going to have the big match at the end and probably someone's going to win or whatever. This just had, all through that final race, there was just so many unexpected moments that were so entertaining. And the ride to get to that final race is so entertaining as well. Great performances all throughout. I would probably say maybe my favorite James Mangold film.
It's up there.
Yeah. And this movie just works for me as old Hollywood filmmaking. Like, I just like a good story told well without too many bells and whistles. I think last year I kind of mentioned that for something like First Man. There's these films that are just
good, yeah.
They're just like strong filmmaking, classic filmmaking. I think I also said that about Shape of Water. The approach to the storytelling, not trying to convolute it with something other than let's just tell a good story with great performances. Yes, there's a little bit more going on in some of these movies, but that's kind of the core of what makes up these movies. Yeah. And those often rise to my favorites. There was a time where I almost thought this movie has less flaws than the two movies I put ahead of it, should it maybe be my favorite movie. But there is artistic merit to my top two movies that kind of blows this one out. So it's kind of a balance for me sometimes of like, I want a movie that's going to push the boundaries and do something interesting, artistic. Sometimes I just want a movie to just be a great movie and not have to try and wow me with anything other than a great story.
So number 3 for me is Mother Effin' Joker. Another one that kind of bounced around the top 3 spots. Fucking great movie, man. I lost my freaking mind. This is just my kind of film completely. It's dark, it's sadistic, it's got weird moments of like odd ecstasy, you know, and just misdirection at every corner, like unreliable narrator. That's fucking just my movie right there so much. The only reason it's not number 1 is just, you know, there's something that has all those things and maybe a little bit more or a little bit better. But the Joker checks all the boxes, or Joker, sans the, checks all the boxes for me. Joaquin Phoenix is going to win Best Actor. He just delivers one after another, that guy. Todd Phillips, man, if he can make more movies like this, dude, like, I'm in, you know. Don't make Old School 2, whatever you do. Let National Lampoons make Old School 2. So Joker for me, man, it's fucking great. It's beautiful to look at, too. I called it beautiful garbage in the best sense of the word in the review. So.
Yeah. All right, moving on to the mini DV with Ghetto Vacations recorded on it. So my number 2 pick is the movie you just discussed, Joker. It's one movie that I caught up with late. I didn't get to do the review with us early in the year. You guys did such an awesome review. I loved what everybody had to say. And I'd say go check out that review because I feel exactly the same way everybody on the panel had everything that you had to say in that review. But yeah, just echoing everything you just said, like it's beautiful garbage. That's a great way to describe it. I love the cinematography in this movie. The performance, it's great. It's going to go down in history. I guess every time you play the Joker and your name's not Jared Leto, you are going to go down in history for playing that role. The unreliable narrator stuff works to explain some of the things I have issues with, but there are elements of this movie that don't add up for me. That I can't buy into him being invited onto that show. It just would not fucking happen. And in 1980 or 81, when this is supposed to take place, nobody is videotaping in a fucking comedy place. There would not be a video of him. That's today's world where people videotape something and then it makes it to somebody and now everyone sees it.
You need to tweet to everything wrong with.
Well,
seriously,
he calls it a videotape, so video exists.
I wasn't making fun. I didn't. That's great.
No, I mean it's a little nitpick. Like I think the unreliable narrator stuff kind of explains that maybe even none of that even is really happening. Even though I was so like loving it every second while watching it, occasionally some of the things that they confirm for you later from the unreliable narrator bug me while watching it, but it's fine once you get to the point of the film where you realize what's really going on.
Sure.
But I still take kind of big issue with the finale, with all of its artistic merit and its amazing performance, and even just some of the smaller supporting performances are good and entertaining. The score is so great, probably the best score of the year. The art direction, the editing, everything from a filmmaking perspective. As you said, if Todd Phillips keeps making movies like this, I want to see more of that.
Number 2 for me that gets the mini DV tape is 1917. And I know we just recently saw this one, but it blew my fucking marbles. It blew my ever-loving, wish I was a real filmmaker mind. Everything about it. And surprising thing to me was the performances, because he had just kind of grabbed these unknown British guys, and I was going to be like, oh God, is it going to be Dunkirkish, where the few people we do follow in Dunkirk I don't really fucking care about at all.
Totally agree.
And it wasn't. These guys were great, and they had like depth. They're like right off the bat. They're two very different people, and because the camera moves around them 360, so when it's at their faces, you get the real meaty stuff that they talk about. And I was also surprised at how much I enjoyed the script, meaning the banter, because like when I had heard it was getting nominated for screenplays, I'm like, huh? Isn't it just like a gimmicky movie where like they're just going to be running through war zones? And it's not. It's got really good banter and it's got good development to their characters. Just exciting. I think it's my favorite score of the year. Joker, a close second, but I'm such a huge Thomas Newman fan, and I love his shit just gets me. And like that scene that we were talking about the kind of like moving into the third act where there's probably a cut and it starts to reset and it becomes nighttime, which is where Roger Deakins has all that time to just show off the rest of the movie. He's just showing the fuck off. And
cool.
Yeah, and like the music hits for the first, like, really loud at that point, and then like the sad points where the music, the movie just, I loved it. It blew me away. I gotta say it's my favorite Sam Mendes movie, and I think he's a fantastic storyteller, but I loved it. It wasn't a gimmick. It was a story. It was a technique of telling a story in a different way, and it worked. Yeah, man, it got me. These Brits know how to make war movies.
For sure. We're moving on to number 1, the Golden Film Reel, and I think we both have the same number 1, so maybe we should just announce it at the same time, much like we did last year. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
And I believe we both picked that as our most anticipated film of the year. So other than a death-proof misstep, he is fucking perfect. Every movie he's made has been on my Best Picture list, and this one is the first time he's actually going to win Best Picture for me. He's always missing out by just something that's slightly stronger. But I do have my problems with it. But let's hear what you think about it.
I was just happy to see him out of the Old West for a change.
That's true.
Like, I said that in our review. It was just nice to see him, like, people driving cars and in bars and having, like, as he calls them, like, the hangout bro conversations. I love that shit. And there's this whole movie, that's pretty much all it is. A 5-minute scene of watching Brad Pitt feed his dog is some of the best filmmaking of the year. just because it says so much. Like, everything in that trailer says so much. Who is Cliff Booth? Well, just look at this scene. That's who he is. And like, this is probably my favorite edited Tarantino movie since the death of Sally Menke. They're all long. They've all been long since her passing. But this one's probably my favorite, just in terms, because they've all had pacing issues, I think, since her passing. The Cliff Booth scene at the compound, that might be my favorite scene of the whole entire year, even more so than the crazy nutball ending, which is brilliant. And me and you were laughing our fucking brains out in the theater during that scene.
There's some great plant and payoff. I always love that in a movie when they do that.
That's what he does.
And you don't necessarily notice that it's plant and payoff. I mean, sometimes it's just so obvious. So that's going to come back, But I didn't expect certain things that are set up in the first 30 minutes of the movie to play out in the final scene the way that they do, and the way that they do great. The performances, Leo is so fucking good. I mean, Leo's always great.
He's a powerhouse.
It'd be hard to like pick the best Leo performance because he really is a versatile actor. This is great to see him do comedy.
Critters 2.
He needs to do more of that. It's 3.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Critters 3. You don't get enough of some of these supporting cast guys, but when you do, they're a lot of fun. Al Pacino's actually a lot of fun in his small role. I love the homage to old Hollywood and L.A. in the late 50s and 60s, I guess it would be, late 60s. The structure of the movie was a little weird, but once you're through it and you can think back to the actual structure, I mean, every Quentin Tarantino movie sometimes comes at you with a structure that you have to get through the movie to fully understand how it all really pieces together. Tarantino's always going to make cinema, he's always going to bring...
He's such a filmmaker's director, where, like, if you've ever just even looked into filmmaking or gone to film school or made something yourself or dabbled in it to where you maybe know a little more than the average person does, that's where you're eating it up. Like, a lot of people think this movie's boring because they're expecting something completely different. When we go into a Tarantino movie, we want to see the details in every shot because he never misses those. We want to hear the sound that he puts in here. Why'd he do this quirky thing? Why'd this actor do this? The dialogue, like the turns that it takes, like all those different things are why you go to see a Tarantino movie if you're someone who loves film. Some people just go, I like his dialogue, and that's fine. But he's so much more than a screenwriter,
Oh, as a visual filmmaker, I think he's amazing. I mean, he does borrow and steal from everybody.
Sure, well, everybody does.
Exactly, everybody does.
He just tells you.
but I like that. It's kind of fun to kind of see the influences right there in the film.
Anyway, yeah, great movie. Our favorite movie of the year gets the Golden Film Canister, otherwise known as Ben's first fully edited student film.
All right, well, that was our list for 2019. We hope you enjoyed it. Hope you saw some of these movies. Let us know in the comment section below what your favorite movies of the year were.
Yes, and click like, subscribe, and leave some comments in the comment section below. John, where can they find Cinema Gulp?
Check us out on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Look for us under Cinema Gulp.
Until next time, I'm Ben.
And I'm John.
We drink your cinema.
I drink it up!